shall be later named and dissected. But for now, I would like to introduce our panelists. Pablo Bello, the redoubtable, Cindy Hicks, our new friend Alex, who is not a member of CTV, but is joining us today because of his role in the May 1st March, which was a march for workers' rights, which was a march for human dignity. And that is the topic we are first going to deal with, the workers' march that happened in Grand Rapids on Monday. And we have some photographs. We might have some video if we can get it up. A little bit of background on CTV. For 20 years, we have brought a socialist perspective to Grand Rapids on the news, and we've dealt with big issues, and we've dealt with the world stage. We started with Bill Clinton's administration, and one of the first issues we took on was NAFTA. Well, these are the issues that do not go away for working people. One of the issues we're going to be talking about tonight is how NAFTA led to the surge in illegal immigration. So let's start with this amazing march that happened in Grand Rapids. The police surrounded us, but they did not move in. I guess when you get that many people together, good, hard-working people standing up for the rights of good, hard-working people, I was only disappointed not to see more union members there. I saw some ex-union members there. I saw people who used to be in the UAW there marching for the rights of the immigrant labor. But I have such good panelists that I really want them to talk. And I want to start with Cindy Hicks because no one has more skin in this particular game than Cindy Hicks.
Hi, I'm Cindy Hicks. I'm a local realtor, but the most important thing I do is I play an activist role in the community as I strive really hard to empower our immigrant community here that does not have papers to reside here in a lawful manner. Currently, there is no way to provide reparations as far as people coming forward and being able to repair their status. So what happens is you have a continual problem of exploitation of workers, and then it drops the wages for everyone. So typically May 1st is May Day, and how that ties together with immigrant rights. What they found is that when you work towards human rights for those at the very bottom doing all the laborious work who doesn't have their human rights honored, once that begins to take place, all the other workers benefit from not having others to exploit for cheaper labor.
Right. The problem for American workers is not that the immigrants are taking their jobs.
No.
It's that the corporations are exploiting those immigrants. If so-called native workers
Yes.
would stand together
Yes.
with all workers,
Yes.
they could stand against these bosses. And that's what the Society for Economic Equality and CTV has always been about.
Yes.
That through democratic action by those who work and create the value in society stood together, the bosses would not be able to push us around.
Yes.
Now, we never stood for guillotining all of these malefactors of great wealth. We just wanted our own rights.
Yes. And it's very important to get that message out and get it across that immigrants or even new immigrants are not the problem. When corporations can go abroad and exploit labor or do it here, both both ways are not good for American workers.
And it's two sides of the coin. Outsourcing your jobs and bringing in immigrants to exploit. But what they want is a system whereby they can define anyone without documents as illegal, and they can document people and keep them in camps attached to particular corporations to be exploited until they're done, and then they're gone.
Well, a lot of
Is
people
that
at
not
the,
what they
yes,
want?
a lot of people at the
Well,
top
this-
like to keep it that way.
That's what that's Trump's plan, right?
Yes.
Yes, just to
It was
keep
Bush's
a,
plan too.
to keep a permanent underclass.
And Obama played his part in the interim
Yes.
by being deporter in chief.
3 million families, including mine, were destroyed. Oh, Pablo, can I get this? Yesterday, I had this sign. The whole march, be it for worker rights and immigrant rights, was built upon disrupting everyone because lives are currently being disrupted, whether it's very low wages that you can't live on, or immigrant families living in constant fear every single day, or being like myself, experiencing someone in your family being detained, violently assaulted, having your body policed.
Well, perhaps you should get into the specifics of that, because that's obviously well documented.
Oh yeah,
But
but
Your husband was recently deported.
yeah, a year and a half ago, but I had this sign that says, "I will stop disrupting you when you stop denying me the right to have a family." So the march centered around human dignity and respect, and basically I had a strong message that said America deported and destroyed my family forever, because that's what happens when people get deported. Their life as they know it is over. It's nothing really more than a slow death. So they may not be incarcerating you for a really long time, but what they're doing is causing your children to grow up without economic support, without emotional support. Children are left more vulnerable, as well as their spouses, and not being able to provide food, which causes a loss of even having your kids and having the government come in and take your family and children away.
It really does seem like our current president was hired by a hostile foreign power to destroy our economy, because obviously if the fields aren't picked, we can't wait till next year for food.
Well, it was just a couple years ago.
But this
yeah, go ahead.
this is the case of thousands of families here in the United States. That
Mhm.
a lot of people, immigrants, have been deported, and a lot of children are living by themselves here.
And we all know that a child without a father is more likely to become a criminal.
Well,
And without a mother, even worse.
and live in poverty. That's the biggest thing.
It's insane to do this to the basis of our economy. These are the people who do the work. Well, you know what happens to an economy? When we started the show, one of the big questions we asked is, what is an economy for? Is it just to make rich people richer? If it's not to make it for all of us to live, then what sort of society is this? And since a guy who sits on a golden toilet, who shall for the moment remain unnamed, he is doing a thing that undermines the very heart of our economy, and some white people are going, yeah, he's doing the right thing, but when they can't get an onion for less than $5, what are they going to be thinking?
Yes.
We cannot do this to people and expect it will not blow back on us.
Well, I would like to add we would like to inform to people that we are not against Americans. We are immigrants. We are working here. Well, the people
Paying
who
taxes.
America
work
was
in
built
the-
on immigrants.
work on
Duh.
the fields. This is people who work very hard. Like the summer is coming, people is coming like to pick up blueberries, in the fall apples,
Strawberries.
other vegetables, strawberries,
Asparagus, cherries,
all these
apples.
products here in West Michigan.
Yeah.
And a lot of people is very afraid of what is going to happen this summer with all these repressive eyes. People is afraid of being arrested and deported. So what is going to happen on all these fields? A lot of people is going to lose money. The wealthy ranchers who have the land, the stores, they won't be able to sell produce. So this is affecting a lot of people, not only families, but the economy. And these are things they don't even think about when they are screaming, build the wall. Yeah, build the wall, and then what? Who's going to work in the fields, right?
I suspect they do think about it because the catastrophe capitalists who rule on Wall Street, they make money by catastrophe. Look at Steve Mnuchin, Trump's new Secretary of the Treasury. He made money off the foreclosure thing because when bad things happen to people, they swoop in and they take the assets. Our founder, Frank Gerard, used to say, the paper pushers, they'll bury you under paper,
Yeah, I was around doing real estate during the foreclosure era, and investors did make out pretty well, and that is why President Trump loved the foreclosure time.
He said so himself in so many words.
He did say specifically that
he says foreclosures are good for my business.
Yes.
And what really bothers me is they say we are taking the jobs of Americans, and that is not true. Like, I don't see any Americans working on the fields with the 90 degrees weather on the sun.
Well, you work as a translator, right? I mean, I did a summer of field work for the Pioneer Seed Company in 1983, and I was in a gang of hippies. We could not keep up with the Latinos, I will tell you what, because those people work real hard.
Yeah,
And without them, America is
so
in
what
trouble.
happened when people start coming here because they are afraid of being arrested and deported? Who's going to take those jobs?
Well,
all these pro-Trump guys, they support Trump. Are they going to take those jobs? No.
Well, maybe Trump will institute chain gangs nationwide, but they'll just run down the row and take down all the crops with them on the chain between
Well,
them.
I do wanna
This is
let
not
you-
going to work.
Through the private prison industry?
The prison
Yes.
industry, yeah. Who needs
free labor.
Yeah, Well, what was this thing that our president was saying about how Andrew Jackson could have made a deal so that the Civil War wouldn't have happened? He was doing a dog whistle to his racist Confederate friend saying, a strong dictatorial president like me who would ignore the Supreme Court that says you can't deport all those Cherokees out of Appalachia and send them all to Oklahoma. A president like that could have made a deal that would have prevented the Civil War and we'd still have slavery. That's what they hear. That's what they hear when he
Yes.
says that.
Right.
I've been to Andrew Jackson's house, and I was not exactly surprised that his house was so nice, but the slave quarters were not so nice.
Yeah, he also had an extended female slaves that he would
Didn't they all?
constantly rape, and had many children that are
These
heirs.
types of institutions are often made for powerful men
Yes.
to exploit the sexual objects of their choice, which are often children, whether boys or girls.
And let me just say that was for Jefferson, President Jefferson. Sorry, I thought you said Jefferson, not Jackson.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's it. Well, yeah, Jefferson.
So
we don't know if Washington.
So what are
did,
we
but-
going to do?
Well, I do want to.
Well, let's talk about what we are doing.
What can I tell you? Like just 3 years ago, because you were talking about the crops, Michigan lost $96 million in their just with the apple produce, they couldn't find workers that felt safe enough to come to Michigan because of our legislators being so conservative and anti-immigrant. People were afraid, and the apples were falling off the trees, and they did last year, and and the year before that. So we're continuously having produce rot in our fields because there's a lack of workers right now. There's a shortage.
And the U.S. government just dumped tons of milk that the Canadians aren't taking anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because Trump is like going, oh, well, my friends are going to make money if there's a catastrophe.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree.
And I think that actually a lot of these people want a lot of us to die.
So all
Yes,
this
I
this
agree.
demonstration yesterday here in Grand Rapids.
Mhm.
On Monday, the May Day.
On Monday, May Day, all these people were marching to inform other people about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that we're people and we deserve rights,
the-
human rights.
A lot of people is very afraid of this administration, very afraid of ICE, very afraid of being taken from their families, and because many of these families, they have already children, teenagers or infants, or who's going to take care of them? And I hear that people don't even want to go out because they are afraid of being arrested by the police and then deported.
Yes, it is cutting into local revenue right now.
So
It's not good for people's health to live under this kind of stress, but the fascists want us to live under this kind of stress. To bring me back to my original point, which is how do we form a anti-fascist alliance? How do we all take our issues of environmental concerns to workers' rights, to women's rights, to all these things? We have the power. Bernie Sanders said, we have the power. And you know what? We saw in 1991, even the Russian people had the power to stand up and say, we've had enough of this. Well, I'll tell you what, the U.S. government is more corrupt and more dangerous even than the Soviets were 27 years ago. But they also are more desperate and have more firepower.
So, I guess the option is to organize, right? To get together.
Yes.
And
I would say there's plenty of groups that you can join, whether it's about climate change or worker rights. But I just want to let people know neither myself or Pablo are representing Movimiento Cosecha, but we'd like to at least say they were the group putting on this strike. Huelga is in Spanish for strike. So it was often used for farm workers. That was what they shouted in the fields, was huelga, huelga. And this right here shows that grassroots that has at least been my experience in the last 20 years, about the only thing that does work, being very creative with grassroots and moving everyone together to get on the same page. There's always going to be differences,
Yes.
but you have to find common ground because that's all we have against the corporations is common ground amongst other human beings and fighting for one another.
Well, speaking of differences, we're going to see some different faces here on some video. They're about to roll. Our monitor is not working, so we won't know when it's rolling. Maybe one of our camera people can let us know when we're rolling. Until that point, I want to say we are CTV.
It's rolling.
For over 20 years, we've been coming here to discuss the issues that affect working people
that was the
in
video.
West Michigan. And we could, are we,
Is it rolling?
I don't know. So we have we have a guest here, Alex, who was at the march. You were a marshal at that, so you were wearing one of the. So is this your video? You guys mainly kept us off the sidewalks, right? So anyway, that gives you a little flavor of that march that we four were at on Monday. Grand Rapids doesn't usually see marches of that magnitude, and we're going to dissect the meaning of the march, but we're going to begin dissecting the meaning of the march with our new friend Alex here, who was a marshal there, making sure that we kept in order so the police didn't have to keep us in order. Is that how that worked?
Yeah, now I want to be clear, I don't speak for Movimento
Of course
Cosecha.
not.
You know, I was asked, so I got involved because someone who showed up in solidarity from the Amalgamated Transit Union, Jada Shane, invited, students help, and so what I did is I was, asked to be a marshal. So yeah, we did keep people off the sidewalks and out on the streets. The goal was to keep it very peaceful yet disruptive.
But it was very disruptive. Wood TV's headline was something like "March disrupts traffic and buses." So was there a parade permit for this march?
No.
So at least 1,000 people. Am I wrong?
2,000.
2,000. At least 2,000 people took over Division Street from Burton to Franklin, at which point the police, right,
Yes.
made sure that you did not continue on Division Street.
Franklin.
But people,
Yes. Can I?
yes,
get-
please,
Yeah.
yes.
I just want to give my personal experience. I became very angry, and I mean over the top angry. I really felt that the people within the group who had lost family members, just like I had a right to be disruptive. Our lives have been so disrupted from having the government just forcefully tear apart your family, to take away your spouse. And I felt that the Grand Rapids Police Department did not allow the people that are suffering to be heard. I was just livid.
What do you mean
so
they
angry.
allowed us? They allowed us to march. The police actually seemed,
Yeah, but
if
to-
I'm unless I'm wrong,
Yes.
they seemed afraid of
Yes,
us.
but
Yeah.
to dictate a group of people that want to be heard and have their just to be seen, pushing you to a side street is so oppressive.
And they actually pushed you, didn't they?
I was.
I myself, when they started, I just went down an alley and came around the
I
other
was
side.
chest to chest with an officer, and yes, the marshals did pull me back. But I was extremely upset, both for my own experience and I felt for the others that took the day off from work. I just felt that the Grand Rapids Police Department really shortchanged people of that opportunity, keeping the cars very far away from us, didn't give us an opportunity to disrupt the way that we really should have been
Oh,
allowed
right,
to.
so they were doing a detour to make sure that we
Yeah.
didn't disrupt too much. I
now
want
to
to hear
be
more
clear-
from Alex, because he's the one in a
Yes, go
position
ahead.
of power.
To be clear, the route was meant to go down Franklin, but it was not meant to be diverted to Ionia. I can say this now, but we were aiming on getting on the freeway.
Yes.
And that was,
Whoa.
we took people, we got past Franklin and Division, and that went really well. It was very inspiring seeing everyone, go in between the cars.
Yes.
I didn't hit me until a while afterwards because there were cops shouting at me to stop telling people to go through and shouting at the other marshals. But Franklin was the plan. It was like,
Yeah, and they did threaten to arrest people if they disobeyed. And I just feel that was a huge slap in the face to the people who were making the sacrifices, because if people are undocumented, they are risking not just a day's worth of work and wages, they're risking their whole livelihood to support their family. And it's not easy getting a job when you don't have the documentation you need to be here in the first place.
Well, what it looks like to me, and I was in the crowd, so it's hard to tell unless you're above the crowd and can count.
No, well, I was right up front, but
It looked to me that most of the marchers were Latino.
yes.
10 to 15% Anglo.
Mm-hmm.
Not very many African Americans, but
There was that Afro-Latino presence. Yeah.
not a lot, and not a lot of Asians either. It was mainly like the hard work in this country. The Latinos were doing it. So I'm asking, when are we going to have a unified front against fascism? I mean, we can talk about every little detail of our rights, and some people are so concerned about this is my right, but if we are not concerned about everyone's rights, then we are going to be in big trouble, because you cannot treat one segment of labor exploitively without exploiting all segments of labor. And if labor is exploited, then it weakens us in terms of standing up to the oligarchs, the oligarchs, the Dick Cheneys, and the Donald Trumps. Now, some people are saying we can't trust Hillary Clinton; she lost the election. And you know what? Right now, as long as she's against Trump, I am not going to attack the flank of someone attacking the flank of my enemy. And Trump is our enemy. He came out last week. I told you we would mention his name, and we will take your phone calls. Look, he came out just 2 days ago and said, the Constitution, it's archaic, it's antiquated, we don't need it, it's in my way, I could fix this if it just were not for the Constitution getting in my way. He is attacking the courts. He has decided that the courts have no right to decide. Look, we have to stand against this. We cannot squabble over any little thing. If right at this point, if someone is not against us, they are with us.
I just feel the system out of design is flawed, and I don't think that at this point we should depend on a politician to save us. I think
not
that
depend on the politician,
right,
but do
or-
not throw them into outer darkness as we go into the
No,
as we
but-
lead onward.
Yeah, I mean, I had a father that was in the union since I've been a child, and I grew up with like Solidarity magazine on the back of our toilet, and I remember when my dad worked in Muskegon, which is in a high industrial area that used to have a lot of jobs. During the factory days, just like Flint, it was very booming and busy. But then in the 80s, the jobs like started leaving, and people were going on strike. And my father worked at an iron like foundry. It was really dirty and really hot, and the kind of work that he had to do. I mean, a lot of immigrants are doing the kind of work my father did, and he was a hard-working man. But I don't really see many, native-born people rushing to go do the kind of work he did.
Well, let's
And-
talk about this term,
Yeah.
native-born people, because when I was in the march, some guy in a truck yelled, go back where you came from. And it's like, you know,
Um,
I come from a long line of German draft dodgers, and the reason we got out of there because we didn't want to get killed or be killed. So we were actually refugees. But
Yes, I did have a confrontation with that man while the march was going on. I did not hold my temper down very well. And again, security did have to diffuse the situation. I was very upset. The man didn't like my sign, and where I said "America destroyed my family," and he continued to make very horrible, offensive, derogatory statements at me, and it got very heated. And we were face to face, and the man's face was turning red. He was shaking, and he just started yelling at me to leave this country. And I just said, well, if you hate me that much, then just punch me, and the police will gladly take your bigoted ass away from, sorry, your bigoted bottom out of here. And
you shouldn't provoke people to hit you, though.
No, but what I'm saying is I was highly offended because I
can
felt that
understand
my personal family was attacked, and I already don't have them here. And so the security people wanted a peaceful march and diffuse the situation, and did
Well, but the
remove
march was
me.
peaceful.
It was.
There was no violence.
No, there was no violence.
And this
People
route,
were singing.
yes.
And, there was a band playing at the front and the back.
no, the
everyone was
police had no
happy.
reason to be afraid. But what you say resonates with me, and I want to get back to the origins of CTV. When we started this show, we didn't have caller ID. That's how long ago it was. And people would call in and tell us to get ass insurance and tell us to move back to Russia. And this, that, and the other thing.
Lupe Ramos
So-
is sending us a message here in Spanish. He said, "Hello, Pablo. Thank you. Everything went well. Thank you to the police. With not only protect
The police were
us,
okay.
but they protect the whole city.
No.
And thank you." And I don't see it. What else?
So can you
Hello to Lupe Ramos.
Yes.
She was in the march.
Yes, and I do appreciate. I do want to say there was a spirit of unity and enthusiasm. I want to say 99% of the marchers will let you know they felt invigorated, empowered. They felt really positive. I just
And most important is that,
Yeah.
that we are getting together and we are organizing the community, everyone,
Yes.
all the whites, Mexicans, Latinos, blacks,
we-
everyone together there. in a peaceful manner.
we are organizing people on one side, but we're also energizing people on the other side. Wood TV reported on the march. They had a drone flying overhead. Their reporting was not sympathetic, and the comments put online to their reporting were downright vicious in terms of all
that's-
these
That's
people-
all what
that's
TV.
always that's
Channel-
always how it
Channel
is.
Yes,
It's always
yes, but
the-
here, listen to me. Look. A lot of Americans are not going to accept the idea that, oh, well, we should just have open borders.
Well, no, we
need-
are not asking for open borders. We are asking for human rights. We are
Well,
asking
human
for,
rights are
There's-
fundamental.
for a
Okay.
You cannot
to work
negotiate
here.
If
away.
I may just
you
stop
can't
you,
negotiate
like-
away human rights.
If I could may say something, it really bothered me a lot when I heard someone saying that we're marching to ask for human rights and dignity.
That's
I
what
didn't-
my sign said.
No, I did not believe in asking for that. I felt people got out because they demanded it.
Exactly. My
They're
sign
entitled
said,
to
we
it.
demand human
Yes.
rights. And on
We
the
are
other
the-
side,
It's an entitlement.
workers have rights and no one
demanding,
works harder than
human rights,
Latinos.
no?
Well, I mean, every human being is entitled to basic human rights and to be treated with dignity and respect.
You would
And
think.
I just felt that saying we're asking was not appropriate. I felt that people were there because they demanded it, they deserved it, and they're entitled to it. You know,
we're
I
not
just
asking, we are demanding.
yes,
Demanding
we need to
human rights.
get that
Okay,
message
so-
aggressively.
So what do we say to the benighted descendants of Europeans, such as myself, who go, "This is our country, damn it. What are you Mexicans who you look like Native Americans, and maybe we should just put you on a reservation, like
Well, maybe we
did
can-
with all them Cherokees that
well, how about-
Andrew Jackson got rid of."
I would say,
Just like
why
that.
why don't we organize together instead of fighting each other? Why don't we organize and
Well, you have-
demand
Right.
A
our
unified
rights,
front against the
workers'
fascist
rights, fair
administration.
wage,
Yeah.
healthcare.
But you have to address where the people's hatred and fear is coming from
Right.
and realize that this country was built on colonialism,
Yes.
which is still in existence through the police department. I do not believe the police are your friend. I don't believe that the police are there to help the immigrant community. I realize that my opinion is much different than other people's.
Give us some details of your own situation.
Well, I would just say, even during the march, just policing brown bodies and pushing them where they have to go is not okay. They don't deserve a forum or a platform to say, "Oh, we care about your community." Well, if you cared about the community of the Hispanic population, you wouldn't be trying to police their bodies and tell them where they have to go to be recognized and have a deserving right to speak with their
Well, but
human
the
rights.
march wasn't to confront the police.
No.
It was-
It was a peaceful march.
No, it's
It
not
was
about
to-
confronting the police, but it was about being allowed to be disruptive.
And I saw policemen. They were
be
happy with us. You know, they sympathized with. I saw some of them. They were smiling.
Yes, I did too.
They
I think
were,
some of
they
them
were
said-
until we
Franklin-
wanted to go
in
through the
Franklin,
blocked
there was a
barricade.
confrontation, but
Yes.
the
Yeah,
police
that's
was on
exactly
our
what I thought
side.
too. They were
Yeah.
happy until we,
Yeah.
Yeah.
until they realized that, okay, they're not listening to us, they're listening to
Yeah,
themselves.
until they're challenged to actually demonstrate that they have genuine care and concern. That didn't feel like genuine care and concern
Well,
to
I
me.
don't- you didn't-
Not a
you-
blockade.
You didn't expect the police to all drive off and confront their bosses, say this is bullshit and we should just let these people do whatever they want
I don't
to.
feel that you need assistance from government sources to protest.
No, but I do think that we need to have some rule of law. If we don't have rule of law, that just encourages fascists like our current president to use rule of law as an excuse against us. And I think the march was very good. There was rule of law. The marshals were very good. Most of the people were very good.
And it went well. It went
Yeah,
well.
there was no reason for slaughter.
People
But there
were
was
happy.
there was a
you
march
know.
in Jacksonville, Florida,
I
a
think
couple
they-
weeks ago, and the police came in. Yeah, and they beat people up because that's what they had decided to
Well,
do.
that's what they
so
always
I think
do.
we should be glad that the Grand Rapids police did not decide to take it to
But
that
that was
point.
only visible. What happens all the other days of the week? And I just want to touch
Okay,
on.
so last week they
but you know,
they got
I would
5
like to
black
mention
kids on the
that-
ground with guns to their heads. Was that it?
The
yeah,
people,
I know.
I saw people like watching us from their windows, from their offices. They were happy, you know. They were like, oh, look at this guy.
Yes,
you
and
know,
I saw a lot of people on their porches, and they were waving, they were happy. It was
Yeah,
like,
they-
this is beautiful, this is great.
If
And
they-
you know, most people are for single-payer health care. 70% of Americans
Fair-
are
a
for
fair
single-payer healthcare.
wage.
Over 50% of rank-and-file Republicans are for single-payer health care. You have to ask ourselves why we don't get these things, and it is because of the combination of corporate and state power prevents the people's will from being done. And if the people's will is not being done, you will not have a society that thrives. If we want a society
or
that
an
thrives,
only
we need to treat people fairly,
Right.
and people need to be heard.
So only a few people
I
are
would say,
thriving.
like, what if in the next town hall, one of these representatives or senators from Michigan, 2,000 people show up and say, you know, if you don't support a fair wage, health care, you know, what?
I'm the director and I wanted to come on set. I was there yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have something to say?
Yeah, I have something to say.
That would be
Okay.
great.
I want Cindy to say.
Okay.
Okay,
Alright.
how do I?
Please.
Sure.
Well, do you
Okay.
want my seat? You're
No,
the-
no, Steve, you stay here.
Well,
I was here and I saw all
sorry.
three of you yesterday.
Can I
That's true, you were there.
Can I quickly say
Yeah,
something
please.
about policing? I know everyone like
Okay, yeah.
thinks that if we don't have police, that everything will fall out of control. But I do want to mention there's a new agenda about putting a purple light on your front porch, and I believe that communities are able to police themselves, and we don't need officers that are coming into our neighborhoods beating people to death.
Well, we
Like,
are, yeah.
like
The
yesterday,
more
we
police are
didn't
out
even
there.
need a
Or
police
do we
there.
need people
Nobody was disrupted. Or
policing bodies?
Nobody was
something.
disruptive yesterday. I was there.
no one was
I was
disruptive.
there as a non-biased, non-objective.
Introduce yourself,
I'm
sir.
John Rothwell. I'm a freelance multimedia journalist and
Former UAW.
former UAW worker, retired, Grand Valley College student right now, and part of my learning, multimedia, is working, volunteering here and running the board here at GRTV. I was there yesterday photographing, recording, and interviewing. And I was right there with the confrontation of the police at the corner of Franklin and Ionia. I watched the police. I saw the people on the streets and on the porches there. My opinion here now is, and this is coming from my opinion as a journalist yesterday, the organization did not have a permit to march.
You don't have
Not
to.
at all.
I
Not-
was
they-
asking the whole time, are they gonna shoot us? We
the
have no permit.
a lot of people replied to my multimedia thing, arrest them. The people should have been arrested. They didn't
saw a
have.
lot
They
of
didn't. They did not have the right to go down the streets.
saw
You
that.
cannot arrest 2,000 people. You would have anarchy, and that's my opinion. I couldn't imagine police force coming in with tear gas, handcuffs, and wagons trying to arrest everybody there. The police, in my opinion, did a great job protecting the marchers from the traffic on an unplanned, unpermitted route. They did their job. When it came time,
did,
when it came time to cross, the police were very polite to the people. There were no arrests made that I know of. Nobody was
arrested.
Nobody was arrested. Nobody was physically beaten. The police went out of their way to cater to an unplanned, unpermitted
It was-
protest.
Which
Can I
is
say
great
something?
and shows our
No, it
power.
was very-
But
We should have had 2,000
this
more
you
people.
shows
No,
how
it
much
was-
power we have as
Yeah,
a
but it was-
people.
That was a lot of power to shut down a main thoroughfare of
Yes,
Division Street, disrupt bus traffic, disrupt traffic, and have over 500 comments onto my social media site with a lot of people saying bullshit. Excuse my language.
I don't care.
Arrest them.
I know, I
Arrest
saw
them.
a lot of that.
And-
But notice they stayed home.
Well, I just want to tell you,
The alt-right was not there.
But I would like to invite all these people to join us. You know,
Against fascism,
we are
save our
workers.
rights, save
We are
your
workers.
family.
We
I
have
have
the
the
same.
right to free speech, and I don't need a permit. And it was very well planned, and they spent months planning this action, and we didn't want a permit. There's no permit needed to. Our lives are disrupted when I can't have a husband and I pay taxes here. I feel that I can relate to many of the other people in the group, and the whole point was to disrupt because our lives are disrupted.
And
So I'm not going to ask permission, nor should any of these other people ask permission. So
You're not even asking forgiveness.
I'm not
As far as
asking
I
for
can
I'm
tell.
not
forgiveness.
even. I'm not asking. I was
Right.
saying that everybody in the city was protected yesterday.
I didn't want to be protected.
Nobody was hurt.
Nobody
Yeah.
was, and
Well,
that's what I
would
what
like
I
to-
observed.
John,
Me
I
too,
would like
and
to
I
invite
think we
these
need to give the
people
police credit
to
for
join
it.
us
I
in the
don't.
next
I never asked
demonstration.
for them to police my body.
You
and
know,
I just,
we are no
don't
other
agree with that.
enemies. We should work together.
Well, they
We
didn't.
should organize together.
I don't think that when people are wanting and demanding that you pay attention to how much their lives are disrupted, that we go ask the same people that are constantly oppressing these families and putting them into deportation proceedings. I didn't ask for their help. I don't want them there. I don't want
So-
them near my body. I don't want my body policed.
So your point is, they came into your house and broke your husband's back and dragged him off to a country that's been foreign to him for some time, and they don't have no right to say that you're walking down the middle of the street is disruptive when they can just drive around.
Not when it's a grassroots effort and there is 2,000 people
And
behind.
I'm saying, why weren't there 4,000 people Where was the UAW? You
There
know, a
is no
couple days-
UAW anymore. It's all been shut down. The jobs have been left. You know that, Stephen.
So this is all part of their plan.
This has been
They
going.
ship the jobs over there, and they destroy the unions. and then
Destroy
they
the
say
unions.
People who come here don't have a right to.
Yeah, with the help of the
work without
police,
being
they'll be
exploited.
right there to stop your efforts or to
Okay.
keep people on strike from going down the middle of the street. People should have a right to disrupt. When you're not making wages to feed your kids and you're demanding health care so your mother doesn't die and can't get her medicine, you have a right to get out there and let your needs be heard. Because the government is not listening. It's called resist. You're resisting to collaborate with people that oppress you. You're resisting the government influence. The police are paid by the government. They're not part of the solution.
I've heard that it's a universally recognized right of self-defense.
So
What?
I would like
The
to
right
invite all
of
these people, John,
self-defense is universally
the comment
recognized.
these
All
negative
cultures
comments,
say that a human being has a right to fight
to work with
back
us.
when their life
it
and their
possible?
livelihood are at stake.
Undocumented immigrants don't have that right. They can't even say any words to a police officer and they're automatically arrested for obstruction. It's obstruction, resisting, and let's see, there's battering a police officer. It's
With your words, I heard Jeff Sessions, a woman laughed at Jeff Sessions a couple weeks ago when he said, I am a strong defender of women and minority rights. She laughed. She is being charged or prosecuted for causing a disturbance because her laughter was considered somehow inherently
Offensive.
disturbing.
Oh.
Well, if money is free speech, I would think that laughter at least should remain free speech. But fascists do not like laughter.
okay. Oh, can I just mention
but
something?
I would like to
Okay.
to say that we should organize all these people, like what John says, all these negative comments. on
Okay.
police.
That was from the alt-right, Pablo.
Those
Well, but
Most of it was
but-
from
but-
the alt-right.
Those people
But we
sit
have-
on their computers and use them as weapons.
But we have
And
a
we
lot of
try
people
to
that
too.
sympathize with our ideas. Where a lot of people came
70% of
from
Americans
their
think
houses
that
and say
Central
hello.
American immigration is essential to the American economy. I heard that on NPR today. 70% of Americans believe that Central American immigration is essential to the American economy, and they're right.
Steve, I'd like to say this, and Pablo here. Like it or not, you have a Constitution of the United States of America.
yeah.
You have the right to peacefully protest.
Yeah.
You have the right to assemble.
Yes, we
You
do.
have the right to a lawful what am I thinking of? Lawful seizure.
that's-
Seizure. You
Freedom
have
of speech.
Freedom
Well,
of
the Fourth
speech. You have the
Amendment.
right of freedom of religion. You have the right to carry
Right,
guns
right,
in
right.
this country. Like it or not, I know you have the right to be a militia and assemble on the steps of Calder Plaza, where you have the right to also
I saw them
protest.
do it. You took pictures
I've
of
taken
that.
pictures of it.
Excellent
I've
pictures
seen
of
them.
that.
I've seen them do it. They have the right to do that. You have the right to peacefully protest down a street. I mean, this is the Constitution. People, it's time to step up and use your rights, or we're going to lose
Use
them.
them or lose them.
Yeah, use them or
We're
lose
going
them.
to lose them.
Yes.
Cindy here uses her rights to protest. Somebody on the right's going to use their right to protest. Use it. We've got to come together. And in my research, in my communication in the journalistic world that I go to with friends this far left and this far right, I'll tell you what. There's got to be a coming together because a lot of people want the same thing. They want what's best for America. You've got somebody starving in minimum wage on the left. You've got somebody starving in minimum wage on the right. They both want to take care of their family. They both love their family. They just have a couple different ideas on how it should be done. I'm sure there's a common ground.
Well-
We
noticed-
showed them. We showed them yesterday what is on Monday what is a peaceful demonstration.
It was very peaceful.
It
It
was-
was
Yes, it was
fun.
peaceful.
It was peaceful. I think a lot of people that were in the street and see us. It was very very nice for them.
The protest grew
I'm
from the
glad
time
ICE did
you
not come and try to sweep it.
the protest grew from the time it left Garfield Park till the end. There was 1,000 or so people that left at the park.
Yes.
When it got to Franklin, or Ionia Street overpass, I was on top of Wealthy Street looking down. And to my estimate, 2,000 was a weak number. I was counting 20 people across, and I won 150 rows back. So
Nice.
whatever time, and that's an estimate.
Well, the New York Times reported 4,000. That was printed yesterday.
From Grand Rapids?
Yes.
Yes, and that would be more a figure. I
That's
was in discussion with other journalists who were saying as high as 9,000. I was saying 4,000 to 5,000, and it was just an amazing amount of people that were there.
In Grand
And
Rapids.
walking down Division Street, you had people joining in. You had business owners coming out waving flags and towels. You had people handing out water.
Yes.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
You had a Hispanic police officer that was getting hugs from the Hispanic community for being there and being a part of the Grand Rapids Police Department.
And people letting know that people use the restrooms, the businesses.
Yeah.
And it was nice.
There were a lot of kids there, some in strollers.
Yes.
So let's use all this power that we have as a society, as a group of people, to organize and demand a right.
Okay, we
Right.
need to demand our rights, but we also need to look at each other and go, okay, we disagree on certain things, but this one thing we agree on, we all have rights, amongst them, free speech. The police did a good job, in my opinion, because nobody got hurt and nobody got killed.
Nobody got arrested.
Nobody was arrested. Nobody. I mean, everyone
Of
was
course,
happy.
there were a lot of cameras around too. So the problem is, when the cameras aren't around, then's when ICE comes sweeping in.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've all got our concerns, you know. A lot of people I know are concerned about their abortion rights, but they can't be concerned just about their abortion rights. They got to be concerned about everybody's rights, because everybody's rights are on the table right now.
If I can just say,
Please,
the
please.
far right has this idea that immigrants without papers should not be allowed to be here. And then you have on the left people like myself that married somebody without papers. I have my U.S. citizen daughter who is a citizen. And, you know, I think about the Constitution a lot. And, you know, I do not want her saying the Pledge of Allegiance anymore, because it says the right to have, basically when I hear life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, I don't feel that my daughter gets to have that if she has to choose between her country of origin and being with her father. She's lived in Guatemala now for almost a year and a half. I don't think that's fair to a 6-year-old U.S. citizen. And I'm very angry. I pay taxes. I am pissed off that people don't even think I should have the right to have a family. I don't see what's negotiable at that point. I don't think human life is negotiable.
It certainly is the worst part of this policy, is the breaking up of the families, because we see the long-term consequences of that.
Well, I
in
just
terms
feel
of a societal breakdown.
I just
You
feel it's a
can't break up
continuation.
families just-
It's a continuation of colonialist methods of keeping racism alive. I mean,
Well,
that's what happened to slaves. They
I
tore
know.
kids
We
from
look-
moms.
We
They-
look at slave auctions where they're separating
it's the same
families.
thing.
I think 100 years from now, if there's anyone to look back, they'll look at our history of the breaking up of families with the same sort of abhorrence. And most of the world does look at it with abhorrence.
There's documentation.
What are you doing?
There's documentation.
What
of
is America
But
doing?
you're seeing not only America, you're seeing England leaving Brexit. You're seeing what's going on in France right now. You're seeing the immigration problems in Germany. It's to be educated and knowledgeable, you've got to read everything from the left to the right.
But you have to have your heart in the right place, too.
You have to have your
Look
heart in
through
the right place.
There's just no excuse to let human beings die. I don't
No,
they-
we have a right to take care of our fellow humankind, our fellow mankind.
But
Yes.
The ruling class
But
wants
what
us
is
to fight each other.
what is it? The fighting for each other has been going on for years and years. We got a couple minutes left here, but on the way over here today, I was listening to the news, And I heard Donald Trump said he's going to bring peace to Israel and Palestine. How long has that conflict been going on? Not that Trump is going to bring peace to it. I would love to see it happen, but how long has Palestine and Israel been fighting?
Well, I would like to add
Well,
that
about 70 years.
No, longer than that.
Since
The
the
im-
British,
im-
80, 90 years,
Two
but I
minutes,
mean,
2 minutes.
we got 2
The
minutes.
immigration crisis in Europe was caused by the war in Iraq.
yeah.
Yes.
Which span all over
Yes,
the area,
yes.
destabilized the region, and now we have this tremendous crisis of immigrants fleeing the country.
Exactly. Americans cannot forget that the refugee crisis and the immigration crisis
By George
are
Bush.
caused by our wars. The
And they're
recent
caused
one
by
in
U.S.
Iraq-
policies.
U.S. policy.
Don't forget, we could go back 170
And,
years
and
ourselves to the
who's
invasion
taking
of
responsibility?
Mexico.
The
A lot of these
Germans.
people didn't cross the border crossed them.
Yes.
So, who is receiving immigrants? The Germans.
And back to the point of, are not most of the people we call illegal, undocumented immigrants actually Native Americans?
Right. They're
And this whole thing about undocumented is the same as illegal. Give me a break. If a human being does not need the sanction of the state to be a viable entity, to have rights, you do not necessarily need a piece of paper.
yes. No human being can be actually illegal. It just doesn't fit. It's not
But this is what they're trying to get
right.
us white people to be mad at you guys.
Right.
You guys don't have a piece of paper. I got a piece of
But
paper.
I just wanna say-
well, how come you don't have a piece of paper?
Well, America is a continent,
It's-
not just a country. It's not a country. It's
It's an idea. The idea
No,
of
it's a
America
continent.
is that of democracy. The idea of America is of second chances. The idea of America is that people can work together to build a better world. We always fall short of it. And, we're always, even our best actions like freeing the slaves is mainly white people did not want to have against slave labor. But we did it, and we need to do it again. We need to keep doing it and never stop doing it. Freedom is not something to achieve, it's something to make.
Stephen, and we're going to have, the goal should be to strive for freedom. My prediction, from what I see, is America's Civil War is starting to happen right now.
Yes.
And it's not going to be against race.
And all
It's going to
Americans
be
deserve
against
to be
left
free.
and right. It's going to be an ideological
And that's
civil war because
all-
we are so divided.
All human
They
beings
got the
have a right
guns
to
and
be
we got
free.
the brains.
Yes. All human beings have the right to be free. They deserve freedom.
Well, I would say let's organize. We are no your enemy. We have the
And,
same.
and America is a continent. It's not a country. The Americans, all the
course.
Latino people.
Wouldn't it be funny, in
Are-
a sick way, if Civil War broke out in America and refugees had to go to Mexico, and Mexico said, "No, we don't want you.
know
Go
what?
back to your starving America," or Canada didn't want
A lot of Mormons